Here are 5 strategies for establishing boundaries in the bedroom, straight from a professional. It is never too late or too early to talk about your preferences in the bedroom, whether you have been with your partner for years or are getting ready for date number 1. It is important to be open and honest about what you like and don't like to do. When it comes to sexual relationships, setting clear boundaries is essential. They provide you and your spouse with the flexibility to try out as many new things, or as few, as you see fit. Experimenting in a controlled environment with predetermined boundaries is essential. Setting limits is something that has been discussed in at least one of the many available books on self-help, but how can you set boundaries in the bedroom? How exactly do you determine where your limits lie in the first place? In my role as an intimacy coordinator, I collaborate with performers and other professionals working in the entertainment industry to determine this. The following are 5 practical strategies that I've learned to discover and discuss limits, all of which may be brought into your very own bedroom. 1. Figure out what makes you happy and focus on that. The first thing you need to do to successfully create boundaries is to figure out what those boundaries are, both emotionally and physically. You are the only one who can fully understand the complexities of your past, including your traumatic experiences, your dreams, and how each of these things appears physically in your body. It is of the utmost importance that you permit yourself to experiment, whether this is done physically, via sexual actions, the use of toys, or masturbation, or symbolically, through journaling, media, or reading. Finding your boundaries requires you to be aware of the extent to which you are willing to push your emotional comfort zone. Make a mental note of the types of media and types of language that cause you to lean in and the kinds of language that get you going. Who else is excited for the 3rd season of Bridgerton? When you are engaging in activities for your pleasure, pay attention to the thoughts that come into your head. All of these things are important markers of the preferences that lie deep within your subconscious. One person may enjoy having voice dominance and being commanded. Another point to consider is that the same language can trigger alarms and destroy the atmosphere. Your limits and preferences are subject to shift from one day to the next and even from one moment to the next. To effectively communicate with your partner, you need to ensure that you are in sync with them. 2. First demonstrate to your partner how and where you prefer to be touched, and then explain this to them. After you've gotten a better idea of what you like, the next step is to talk about your preferences with your significant other. This is accomplished on set through a process that we refer to as a border exercise. During these exercises, partner A will demonstrate to partner B where on their body they feel comfortable being touched by making fluid gestures with their hands over their own body. The second partner then verbally confirms their comprehension by touching the same spots that they witnessed the first partner touch. Although you and your significant other do not have to be quite as technical, it is essential that the two of you are on the same page regarding the things that appeal to you and those that are off limits. Give yourself some breathing room for a watch me moment before things get too heated and intense. This will likely pique the interest of your partner and cause them to mimic precisely what it is that you demonstrate to them. Ooh la la. 3. Make yourself at ease with both the act of saying and hearing the word no. It's not always easy to just say no. Especially if you've established a level of familiarity with the person you're seeing, you can feel the impulse to just give in and go with the flow of things. It's one of those situations in which you ask yourself, if I've let them do this before, I have to let them do it again, right? Never in a million years. Consent must be freely provided, enthusiastically expressed, and permitted the flexibility to be flexible for it to be legitimately granted. Even if you have tried and liked a position in the past, that does not mean that your stomach, which is currently full of pasta, can manage it at this time. The response is no if your spouse responds with a no. It's possible that they'd be interested in a different position instead. It's that they're just not in the mood tonight. When someone says no to us, we frequently interpret this as a form of rejection. That word carries with it a lot of baggage, both in terms of connotations and feelings. The true interpretation of this phrase is that the individual is erecting a border to protect oneself. When you want to carry on but recognize that something needs to shift, it might be helpful to reframe the boundaries you face more optimistically and provide you with different options. You may say, I like it when you do this instead of saying I don't like it when you do this, because I like it when you do this. 4. Make a button for the website. The function of a button, which is often referred to as a safe word, is to act as a form of a fire alert. Is there something that has reached its limit? Was the previous spanking a little bit too severe? Call button. In many settings, the phrase button refers to a device that causes an immediate halt in the action, particularly as it relates to intimate scenes and violent scenes. Naturally, your button can be anything you want it to be as long as it is distinctive enough to be noticed. Choose either sunflower or cactus as your theme, or go with any other concept that appeals to you. Just double-check that you are both aware that saying this word will stop whatever activity is taking place. It may be helpful to have a button that notifies others when you are too weary to continue working and require a short break, or if the position is uncomfortable and you need to look for another one. Nobody intends to harm another person without their knowledge. It is important not to engage in excessive thought when your goal is to have a sensual and liberating experience. When you are certain that you have a plan B if something goes wrong, you will finally feel the freedom to unwind and enjoy the present moment. 5. Create a repository for available options. The purpose of sexual activity is not to be rationalized, but it is to be risk-free. Constructing a container of choices together with your spouse can help turn up the heat, and you won't have to worry that they will bring up a topic that the two of you haven't covered previously. You may take a time to lay out the toys and restraints that you are comfortable being used, or you could just indicate that you would prefer to be on top tonight. If everyone has the same understanding, then go wherever your curiosity takes you. It is helpful to have a box of tricks in a figurative sense for those times when you want to push your boundaries and explore, but you want to do so within a particular range. Your boundaries are wonderful the way they are and don't need to be justified in any way, shape, or form, regardless of whether you're just starting on the path to creating healthy boundaries or are already at ease exercising self-control over your impulses. Sex is like dessert, what you like is what you like. It's fascinating to discover what flavors you might like to experiment with and mix, but make sure to get everyone's permission first. Best wishes as you establish your limits.